so excited for this. Veda Austin, we've pinned you down. You've given us our time again.
Thank you for
Thank
that.
you.
We really
Appreciate
appreciate
you.
you.
Really appreciate everything
Oh,
about you and your time. So, for anybody that didn't get the first podcast, which was about
oh my God, it
years
feels
ago,
like such a long time
go
ago.
back and watch the original one because this is the new one.
Yeah, this is the step up.
This is Veda Austin, water researcher, author, everything magical about water, our
Our
friend
mermaid.
and our mermaid.
Thank you
Oh,
for
what a
being our
lovely
first
one.
one back.
Oh, really? Oh,
Yeah,
that's a big honor.
yeah,
Well, that's
Yeah.
such a warm welcome, and I love you guys. So I'm always going to say yes to you.
yeah. We'll remember that.
Okay. We've got it on record now.
So, Veda,
That's
it has been so long, and we have been following your journey. We've been seeing you every now and again when we can, when you're in the UK.
Feel that.
Um, but we've actually been very organised this time. We've got some good questions because we wanted to speak to Veda. Obviously, we know your relationship with water is insane and it's taught us so much. We want to learn a little bit about Veda today. So our first question is still about water, but it was about in your journey, which is so big, we wanted to find out if there was any pivotal moments that have literally surprised you, thrown you off your seat, made you wobble around, and that's kind of our first question.
hmm Relatively recently, there's been one. Last year, similar time to now, yeah, just over a year ago. A very extraordinary, unusual thing happened to the degree that I actually threw the dish into the sink and it broke
Oh, wow.
because it was an extremely unusual phenomena, and I don't think I was really prepared. Well, I know, wasn't prepared for it at all. And it was when I decided in a rather oddly unconscious way. And don't you normally do that, but I was having a very bad year last year, and there was a dark few months where I really shouldn't have been doing crystallography. And I kind of stopped doing crystallography for a while because of this and
Mm.
because of what happened. It was a good reminder. And although it's fascinating and I learned something from it, water always gives me that, whereby relationship I have found to be one of the most important things when it comes to water and crystallography. And for those that don't know me at all, essentially I freeze water to a specific stage, and then I basically photograph the resulting crystallography. And the water can be inspired in very different ways from thoughts and words and pictures and sound and music and frequencies and energy and you name it.
Yeah.
And so either I can be very neutral, which I found gives me some of the most amazing results and have no attachment to outcome, uh, or I have like a relational thing where the water is picking up on my emotions and all of these various things. But I don't go against the feeling of if I shouldn't do it, then I shouldn't do it.
Mm.
If it feels wrong, then I won't do it.
Mm.
But everything was feeling wrong. And so this thought came into my mind. I was like, oh, you've been thinking about working with mirrors for a long time now. And maybe today's the day, right? And that wasn't the way I thought about it over the last couple of years. I thought, is it time to work with mirrors? And the answer always came back, nope, you're not ready. Or the question was, are you ready? And I'll be like, I know I'm not ready for that.
How do you do that? Is that an intuitive question you ask yourself and then you just know? It's a
Mhm.
knowing. Yeah.
It is a knowing. And I think intuition is actually another state of water.
Mm.
And I say that for a lot of different reasons, which we can get into later if you want. But essentially, yeah, it's just an internal dialogue that you're having with the water inside of you. And I've always known that mirrors, sorry, mirrors are, and water open possibilities. Let's just say that. And so I had this day where I'm like, I'm just going to do the mirror thing. I'm going to do it today. But I didn't ask if it was okay. I didn't do any of that. So what I did is I got two, like the little makeup mirrors, those round mirrors,
Mm.
and I put one on top of the petri dish of water and one underneath it, and the two mirrors were facing. And
Mm.
I put them both, all of the whole thing, into the freezer and froze it using my short-term freezing method. And when I took it out, something really odd had happened. So I could see through the little petri dish, whilst the mirror lid was still on it, that something had grown in the center. And so I'm like, oh, what's happening? So I took the mirror lid, if you will, off. And what I saw was like a flat layer of crystallography around what would be the size of a toilet roll. And it was a toilet roll kind of sized cylinder had grown until it could hit
What?
the lid of the mirror.
Yeah.
And so that in itself is unusual. There are things called ice spikes, which are very common. They're not kind of really that much of an anomaly. I've seen them a lot. But this was nothing like that. This was exactly like a toilet roll, if you will. Like it was thin, it was open in the center. There was no crystallography at the bottom. I couldn't of it. It was like a tube. And when I took the lid off, rather than what would always happen, which is the ice starts to just evaporate and dissolve, and that's not what happened at all. This is the thing that made me throw it, was that rather than that happen, it was still building. What I saw was the ice building upon itself, the
No
crystallography,
way.
round and around and around like some kind of 3D printer.
Oh my
And
God.
what
Veda.
what happened was that I saw that and my thought immediately went to, this feels like I've just opened some kind of portal and I have no idea
Yeah.
what I'm letting in. So I just threw it into
Yeah.
the sink and everything broke. I kind of kicking myself that I should have filmed it. But I was in so much shock that
Yeah.
this was happening. And I was seeing this in an extremely unusual way. And, I'm like, being conscious of what you're doing and really asking, is this the right thing to be doing, is such an important piece. And I think although it taught me something interesting, and I'm
Yeah.
curious, will it do it again, or will it do something new, or was this just teaching me something, a lesson that I had to learn, which probably was that. Um, it was fascinating and really shifted. Well, two things. It reminded me that my intuition about mirrors was right. And it also reminded me that this work has to remain uh, in alignment with what you know to be the correct course of action.
Mm.
And that was also very helpful for me. So,
Wow,
yeah,
Veda. So do
Mm.
you think you'll intuitively ask that question again and go down the mirror route, or
the
do you think that's
mirror
done?
route. If I do, it won't be till next year.
Yeah.
I'm finishing my
Fascinating.
PhD, and this has been just a lot of this year has been working on that, and it's going to be a massive book. Like what I've got right now. It's so huge, and just keeps getting bigger. So sometimes you have to know when to stop. I don't seem to know when to stop writing at this point.
Yeah, but there
It's
is
just
Yeah, but
so
that's a
much.
bit like water. Sometimes she wants to keep flowing. And
yeah.
you're the conduit. You are the one that's sharing this. So we need you to do it.
Well, I appreciate that because of what I've been working on lately. I know I personally know how significant the work that I'm doing right now is, which is it's actually out on top of it being part of my PhD, it's also becoming a book that I'm calling The Decoding Keys.
Ooh.
And it is hopefully actually the books, there's two volumes. Because the first volume so far I got halfway through and it was already as big as my Living Language of Water book.
Oh, bless you.
So it'll be
It's
two of
big.
those, two of those. But it's really for people and for the future. And it's like I don't know that it'll be fully appreciated by everyone. Uh, but I'm hoping that in the future, I know some people definitely will, but it's all about it's all
Us.
about the hydroglyphs. So it's
Right.
going to help people fully understand what the repeatable symbols in water are that are assigned to have essentially got meaning that have come from written words and the same word in multiple languages. And if I have seen the same symbol appear at least 50 times using the same written word, then I say I have one hydroglyph. But
Mm.
I've been recording them for 6 years and I
Mm.
have 42. And each symbol can have multiple meanings, which means you have to have done it again another 50 times and another 50 times and using specific methods and trying to keep it as scientific, if you will, as possible.
Mm.
And within that, you just do all the recording. But now I've got to the stage of doing the deep dive on each one. And what I've discovered is, I mean, you asked me what's really, been a mind-blowing thing for me. I wasn't prepared to really see that there is language and grammar and families within these hieroglyphs
Wow.
and how they relate and how you read them and how some are locational, so some are positional, some are um, hybrids where two glyphs have become one glyph and how you read them like that. And so what I can give you little demonstrations if you want and show you some of what I've been working on.
Love that. Yes,
But what
please.
has blown my mind is that, and I don't know the conclusion yet, but I can start to see some of the conclusion, is that there is a masculine and feminine principle, and it's changed how I've thought about things I used to say. Hopefully, we'll be able to answer one more question after this thing.
No,
Just
do it. No,
talking
this is,
about what's
do it. You're
amazed me, but
actually, you're answering so many of our questions just by like all
oh,
of this.
really?
This is perfect. Veda,
Yeah.
carry on.
Um, but I used to say that there was a degradation of the hexagonal form. And so for context, spring water collected within an hour and frozen within an hour of collection from the spring will show you extremely large hexagonal patterns. I call it a star fern hexagon. I can give you an example. And essentially, it is a six-pointed star with ferns off each leg that look hexagonal, like kind of like a snowflake, right? And that is one of the highest, most kind of complete, if you will, expressions of a water with high energy. It's good quality. And if you see that in tap water, then you've changed it.
Mm.
So I always know that disordered tap water, which is lots of lines and dots essentially, like
Yeah.
Lego all over the floor, can take that Lego and build itself structurally to look like a hexagon again. It very rarely ever looks like a full hexagon in a giant dish, but it's often size. So the smaller the hexagon, the less expression it has, but it still shows a qualitative aspect. And so when this hexagonal shape appears in tap water, then it's your energy has shifted it. It doesn't change chemically, but it changes structurally.
Mm.
Hmm.
Anyway, so for a long time, I've been saying that I've observed this, what I used to call degradation of the hexagon. And that usually happens the further it gets away from the stream, from the head of the spring, sorry, and the further it goes. And especially if it starts to go through piping. So if you have, or if it's been sitting too long, like you can get spring water, put it into a bottle, a see-through bottle that like the kind you find in the supermarket. And then all this artificial light is coming in and all this light is changing it and it's sitting and it's not moving. So those structures can go from large and hexagonal down through a specific way. So there are two ways the hexagon degrades, if you will. I'm going to tell you why I don't think that that's necessarily the case anymore. Why
Mm.
doing this deep dive into hieroglyphs has sort of shifted my mindset about it, which seems radical to me because I was really fixed on that. And I'm
Yeah.
really happy that I can change my mind
Yeah.
and be open about that because that's what science is supposed to be.
Yeah,
And people can easily get
absolutely.
fixated on being right about their hypothesis. So
Yeah.
I'm being open about this. And so there were two ways the hexagon degrades, right? The hexagon is so for it to become a dot, essentially, it's probably easier to show visually. Maybe I can do that.
Yeah. Can
But
I?
I'll explain it for now. So the internal star is kind of tightly compacted, and then it starts to open up. So you imagine that star has a center, like begins to have a center and it opens up and it has a middle. And then eventually it starts to look more and more like kind of like an empty star shape or a flower shape.
Mm.
And then that kind of comes in on itself to eventually become a dot. It goes through this process where all of the external and all the internal designs changed to become a dot. And then the other way is that one of those ferns comes off,
Mm.
and then all the leaves of the fern fall off, and then it starts to look like grass, and then it just becomes a line.
Mm.
And so the step after the star for the first one, then it becomes like an empty hexagonal shape, and then it becomes the dot. So
Right.
by hexagonal, I mean tiny, tiny,
Right.
tiny little empty hexagonal shape with no internal coating or anything.
Right.
So it would be logical because essentially they've reduced themselves to dots and lines, and that's what we see in tap water.
Yeah.
But
Mm.
what working with hydroglyphs is showing me is that specific to the first way in which water changes is that it changes to an empty star, then it changes to a tiny hexagon with no internal coating or its lines, and then it becomes this dot. But the star itself is a hydrogen and a hydroglyph. And so the first design that I talked about, this hexagon, that is a hydroglyph as well, that shows up for the word living. And the empty star has got multiple meanings, and the main meaning is light. And then the empty hexagon is individual and I. And then the dot, interestingly, has a huge meaning. It is part of many, many dots that I call the speckle, which mean earth and mother.
Ah.
The other way it so-called degrades goes all the way to a line, and the line is also a hydroglyph. And interestingly, the line itself, just on its own, it means father and cosmos. So essentially, what I'm seeing is them
Mm.
simplify to their more original principles of
Yeah.
masculine and
A
feminine,
feminine.
of
Mm.
earth and mother and father and cosmos.
Yeah.
So that's not really a degradation. That is a simplification.
Yeah.
And that's interesting to me because we have been, I mean, we understand. I'm not talking about that tap water as being like, because we all know that there's so much we shouldn't drink in it and there's all this stuff in it that water
Yeah.
holds, but that's not what water is.
Yeah.
My freezing method teaches us the energetic principles of water and essentially where it's at on its journey. But
Mm.
I'm not talking about drinking the water, but what I'm seeing in these patternings that I used to just think were just disorder
Yeah.
Yeah.
still have
Has
actually
all
very big,
A very
valid
big meaning.
teachings.
Yeah.
And it's like you start from something tiny like a seed, right? And then that seed grows to become this living glyph. And the living glyph is where we go, oh, that's so beautiful. But because we're so beauty
Yeah.
find it and we go, oh, that looks nice and that doesn't
That's
look nice,
pretty.
we assign that
Yeah,
what
yeah,
it
yeah,
doesn't look nice
yeah,
as bad.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I did the same thing. But
Yeah.
I'm starting to see in this shift and change,
Oh my God, what a
actually, there's
big
a lot to
lesson.
learn. And I would say, and one last interesting thing has been around, I have multiple, like I said, different glyphs, but one of the glyphs I've been working on, and I'm still working on now, is the extraterrestrial glyph. I have a little glyph for extraterrestrial, and it doesn't show up for alien. It only shows up for the word extraterrestrial, which
How
fascinates me.
interesting.
But what's interesting about it is it seems very locational based. So, like, I have crystallographers around the world, and one of my top crystallographers, John, who's been, and so it's been a real collaboration, this work I've been doing for this book, because I'm working with a lot of people, other people's crystallography, because
Mm.
I want to show, oh, it's not just me that gets that,
Yeah, and
these
your
people can help
community is just
here.
growing and growing and growing all the time, isn't it?
Yeah, because it's such a simple, easy method to learn,
Yeah.
and it's a lot of fun. But John, of everyone, he gets the most ET glyphs, which is
Ah,
interesting because he actually lives extremely close to a place called, a horrible name really, Skinwalker Ranch, where there's like a lot of activity in the skies and lots of legends and lots of stories and lots of sightings of unusual phenomena. And so when I was living in America, we lived out in the middle of the desert and we were quite close also to certain bases that were of
Yeah.
interest. And that's where I saw the most ET glyphs as well, outside
Okay.
of writing the words and doing it that way.
mm.
And what's interesting about the most interesting part about this, and I know I sound like a complete geek, and I know this isn't for everybody, but I've been so absorbed in this work, is that because that speckle I talked about for the Earth Mother,
Mm.
is that's what we would consider terrestrial. But the ET glyph 95% of the time shows up with the Earth Mother.
Ah,
So it's like it's almost suggesting that either A, everything from uh, the cosmos, from the world outside of ours, certain things came to bring life here, and
yeah,
so it's all extraterrestrial, if you will.
yeah.
There is a certain scientific hypothesis for that, but then also it could suggest that Earth is like a cosmic nursery,
Hmm.
which is a whole other thing. So there's a lot to
There's a
consider,
lot
and
unpacking now, isn't
Oh
there?
my God,
yeah,
Veda, your questions must pop off all the time with
What you're
with what you're
finding.
finding. It's insane.
Yeah.
Do
it
you feel
is.
like water is trying, do you feel like there's a coherent message that water,
Especially with the amount of people that are doing this alongside you all over the world, like you said about John and what he's seeing with his pattern. Are you finding there's almost like something that water is trying to
tell
tell
us?
us?
Well, I mean, we always disassociate ourselves from water because of the way in which we have this meat suit and we don't see the internal workings of our own body. I think water is always inviting us to look through its own divine mirror at ourselves and the world, and
Mm,
invite ourselves to see through this fourth phase water eyes that are 99% water,
Yeah.
um, through the world in a different way. And I think that, to flow is to evolve. And it's also to let go of what doesn't serve, what isn't right anymore, so that we can evolve.
Mm,
So if I am seeing something that goes against what I used to think, it is a responsibility to upgrade that way of thinking. So in that respect, from my perspective, water is sharing some of the most profound insights I could have ever imagined,
yeah,
with myself, and I'm sure with many, many others. And
yeah,
like John said, he can't not see God whenever he sees these incredible images in his work. And his work is amazing. But you know what's amazing about him is that he doesn't try and control anything. And I think that's where people give up. What often happens is that people who are most skeptical, interestingly enough, who have the least attachment and think it's not going to work often get the best results in the beginning.
Mm.
And then
Yeah, that's probably
and
true.
and that is usually because you have no attachment to outcome.
Any outcome.
That's
Yeah.
That's
important.
right. Yeah.
And then when people go, oh, I know how to do this. This is easy. This is fun. And then they go and they expect to see. That's
Yeah,
where
Yeah.
it
that would have been
changes.
me.
And they start to control, try to control and
Trying
manipulate
to
the
control it.
outcome.
And
I was
so
almost
you
like,
know,
put it in the freezer.
Show me something.
and so it's like that's what it's taught me is about neutrality. It's like neutrality. In the neutrality, I have a love for water, but I don't have any want to control the outcome anymore.
Yeah.
I'm just surrender to that.
Yeah.
And John has just naturally gone that way. He just appreciates the beauty, but within that, he has seen all three ways that water shares information from a signature pattern. So you can see, oh, this is what thermal water looks like. I'm
Mm.
in the thermal wonderland right now of Rotorua, so that's why it's coming to mind. And then, then you have the art, which most people know my work for, where you have the art. Of water. I always say art is the heart of water, and then the hydroglyphs. And everyone that I've seen that's on my private group that's learned the technique and is actively using it has got hydroglyphs in their dish.
Mm.
Mm.
That it's becoming so familiar with them that you really understand water is sharing this extremely amazingly detailed message with you, but it would be easy to miss if you didn't recognize the symbols.
Yeah.
And within that, that means that you can communicate not just, and it can communicate not just to you as people, but also that means allows us to communicate with all life. And by that, you can have your cat drink the water and freeze the leftover water. You can put a flower in the water. You can have anything that drinks water, drink a little bit and freeze the rest, or put it right beside something.
Mm.
You can have this way. It's like a universal language. It's not limited by the language, which is fascinating. So I use multiple different languages and see the same result, which
Mm.
means it's not about just the language, it's about
Mm.
the energy of the word.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And
absolutely.
that is potent. That's how it's so potent for us to remember that our words are creating our reality. They're not just the words we say, but the words we think. And
Mhm.
they're, if you then, and that just creates patterning. So sometimes we need to break that patterning. I know I do. Oh my God. We can be our worst critics. It's
Absolutely.
internal dialogue is writing the story of our life inside the waters of our body. So even if you can just break a little bit of that to become nicer to yourself, I did that this morning. And it's like, it's why it can be so hard is because of just all the comparisons.
Oh my God. I
Comparisons,
hear you,
comparisons,
Veda.
comparisons. Comparisons are so cruel because you're never going to look like somebody else and they're never going to look like you, unless you have a twin. But, it's like trying to be like someone else takes away from the fact that you have something original to offer the world. You're not meant to be like other people.
Mm.
And it's okay to be that way. And
Mm.
it's
Oh,
encouraged, actually, I would encourage it to be
yeah,
your original
exactly.
self.
Yeah,
Mm.
God, so
Sounds like our blog. Before we come on, we just got in the flow together and wrote a blog, and it was really inspired by you, knowing that we was going to have this and all
Oh,
of those things.
everything you've just said, we wrote about because it's
Yeah.
everything that we've learnt through you, and
no.
how, oh my God, it blows
It
me
literally
up.
has, though. We started our journey just by asking questions about water, and you've got the physical, you've got the structure, you've got and you've just opened up a whole new world.
But
And
not just about water, but just how to live your life.
yeah,
Just
the waters of everything. There's that
in
moment, isn't there, in our first podcast where I literally had that moment with you. I was like, oh, wow.
we are
I
seeing.
see the world through water, and it's such a simple thing, but unless you get it, it's like it was, yeah. And from
Yeah.
there, your everything you do, it's just you're just amazing. You're just an
Yeah,
incredible woman,
Oh,
Veda. You
you
really
are
are.
amazing. And I can
well, I
see those
get
books
that.
being like uncovered in like a million years
Yes.
and how they've what they've then found about hieroglyphs in water. God, it's just where's it
You know,
going to
it's
go? It's so
it
exciting.
is interesting because there are in the information hieroglyph, there are actual hieroglyphs in there as well. The same symbols used in some
Really?
hieroglyphs. Yes. Like the symbol for water in hieroglyphs is
Yeah,
like this
Like that,
mixing.
isn't
yeah.
it? Yeah.
And I see that within the information
Do
hieroglyph that looks
you?
like ancient language. And then also the double reed, which is a specific hieroglyph as well, within the hieroglyphs of information, which looks just like literally like in ancient language.
Did you know that
It's
prior to going to Egypt? Or did you work that out after
I
you'd
did.
been?
I did actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had
Yeah.
already because I've been doing this for so
So
long,
long.
and
Yeah.
I had talked to Patricia about that, um, and looked at the comparisons to be able to kind of confidently say that I can say
Yeah.
yes, these are actual hieroglyphs in here.
Yeah.
And actually, even there's certain patterns that I'm seeing in the work with the glyphs
Mm.
that you see through ancient structures. Like my husband's been working on a project which I'm excited for him to, finally really bring out in a bigger way. In the Middle East, there's these giant geoglyphs that are there are probably close to 1 million of them scattered
Mm,
across the Middle East.
wow.
And they're huge and they vary in size, but some of them are absolutely huge and they're phenomenal. And some of them are exactly what I'm seeing, same
Um,
thing. And then in these crypts in France, we have the conception glyph, which is two circles touching, which means
Yeah.
conception. And
Yeah.
interestingly, along with the earth glyph with the ET, they also see conception, completion, and multiplication. Everything seems to keep coming around to the extension of life and the building of life. And that's fascinating. Same with the crop circle glyph that I have that I'm not adding to this because it seems like something that I see mostly, but
Yeah.
others haven't seen it. So I'm leaving it
mm,
out because I actually think it needs to be something that's worldwide seen. So to be really recognized. But anyway, with that, I would see the conception glyph as well as the completion glyph, which is one circle and the two circles touching. So we have a whole circle family, which is which was interesting with the ring,
Mm.
which is it's basically marriage and ring.
mm,
And then you have the other circle, which just a circle, which is like an indented circle, like a seal, which is completion and children,
Mm.
mm,
completion and children. And then you have two circles touching, which is conception. And then you have the coin, which is abundance, essentially. So everything about the circle family, and then you have plasma, which is a new one.
Mm.
mm.
And it's also kind of circular. So you have the circle family, and then you have a different family and different family. And so this is an entire language of which having now been working on this, I just realized how little I knew in the beginning.
Yeah.
And that I feel like the woman from Arrival who has to figure out this alien language. Yeah.
I just can't believe you went from just sort of seeing a first pattern shape to this whole book of hieroglyphs. It blows me away that across
Hmm.
the world everybody's finding these same patterns. It
Yeah.
absolutely.
And
And
you're
there's all
tying them with
different,
these beautiful places, these sacred places as well. It's like it's just, joining up, isn't it? Literally the dots.
well, also, it's not just one type of water either. People are seeing the same hydroglyphs in all kinds of waters all over the world. The only one that I don't see much in the way of glyphs or any kind of patterning outside its signature pattern is distilled water.
Right.
I think of distilled water like the observer
Ah.
rather than an active participant, whereas water with salts and minerals of any kind is the active participant with the ability to observe, just like us.
Mm,
The salts and minerals are an important part, I think, in being able to be actively engaged in the world of memory and imagination.
that's
That's
interesting.
very interesting, yeah.
So, do you think, I suppose that again, I mean, from a physical perspective and just health, that's good for us too, right? Just to make sure we're drinking water that has lots of nutrients and minerals
I,
and to
I
have the
think
same
it's,
effect.
yeah, I mean, I think that there is a lot of mineral deficiency in our world, and
Yeah.
that's because the soil quality isn't as good as it used to be.
Mm,
And I do think that the I mean, it's all a personal choice. A lot of
Yeah.
people don't have the luxury of choice, and I always acknowledge that, which
yeah.
is why I think it's exciting that at least structurally, you don't need any device, you don't need anything to make a difference. You make the difference. It's why
Yeah.
I said if you see disordered tap water and you let it melt, for example, and I didn't actually say this in this particular podcast, but I'm telling you, you have all of this, what could be seen as disorder, little lines and dots, and then you let it melt. And then you just give it some love. You just
Mm,
think, what do I need? And you give it to water.
yeah.
And then you refreeze it and you can do controls, and what you see is the one that you didn't give love to doesn't change, and the one you do changes structurally to become much more like ferns and stars and hexagons and flowers.
Mm.
And you can see there's a structural change, and that's important.
Yeah.
It's
Again,
important for people to know they make a difference. And I think that's why the seed um, work that I did has been so profound, I think.
Mm.
I'm
mm,
sure I think we discussed that one the
Yes.
last time I
yeah.
was with
Yeah,
you.
we did.
Yeah, just sort of showing that even in the tiniest, most shriveled up old seed, there is the potential that is still read by water of its highest expression,
Mm.
which is the what it's going to become.
The outcome, yeah.
And so it doesn't show the seed, it shows the outcome of the seed. And so what outcome of this seed do we
Yeah.
want to be? Because water's already there. It already knows what it is. We
Yeah.
just have to take action to become that.
That's so
Mm.
beautiful.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Very much like the journey we're both on at the moment, isn't it?
Absolutely. I can't go much further without going back to the beginning when you said about the intuition, because my ears just went when
Hmm.
you said we could explore that. I know we could talk for
No, I
hours.
think it's an interesting one, an important one.
Can you touch
Um,
on that, please?
yeah, of course. So it it kind of you have to go back to the seed to understand the reason why I would say that. So what the seed is doing is essentially the water, if you put a seed in the water and take it out, rather than design the seed, it will design the outcome of the seed. Now, how it does that. So it understands outcomes. Water understands outcomes because it isn't limited to time and space.
Yeah.
So if we were to be able to get out of our conditioned mind, out of our patterns, out of all of that kind of way, where some people experience entirely different dimensions if they go into a deep meditation or they do X, Y, and Z, whatever they do. And so they have another perspective. How do they do that? How do we dream? How do we see pictures in our dreams?
Yeah.
Right? That's an important one because we have been limited to think that water is only a liquid, solid, and gas at school. That's what we're taught. But we know already that there's also a plasma, right?
Mm,
And even in the ice state, there's over 300 different types of ice, and you can just write about one type of your entire life. So we barely know anything. So when you come to intuition, we all know that feeling when we are like, I really don't, I have this bad feeling about going to this place today. And then your mind goes, but I promised, and come on, you're just making stuff up in your head. But if you end up going and then there's been like an accident or something bad happens or blah, blah, and you go, "God, I should have listened to that little voice in my head."
Yeah.
mm,
That little, not in your head, that little voice in your gut
yeah.
that says, they probably shouldn't do that. Or, the good one is like when you really like somebody and you really, really want to like trust them. And this gut feeling is going, but there's something off about this person. And it's there and
Yeah,
it's
I
telling you
know that
something.
one.
And it's like, oh my God, why didn't I listen?
Yeah.
And so we have this internal knowing. And what I've seen is that water can essentially probe into potential outcomes. And my work really does show that water can probe into different outcomes and bring it back to you. And there's too many other examples to give, but for right now, how does water see in a seed that there is a potential outcome other than reading the information in some way? It may not become that. It's just
Yeah.
its potential. So it's
Yep.
reading potential.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, right? And so if water can read potential, it reads also potential outcomes. So there are multiple potential outcomes depending on our choice in life. It's like that sliding doors. If I went left
Yeah.
or if I went right, what would have happened?
Yeah.
And so with intuition, that is water's way of giving you the feeling that the outcome you are most likely to take is either good or bad, because it's like a giant quantum computer that goes through all the most logical outcomes and illogical outcomes and brings you back with the one that you're most likely to do. And so it has already gone ahead of you. And here's one of the reasons I can say it can go ahead in time, because I've put my thumb in the water, taken it out, frozen the water, and seen an imprint of the thumb with the
Yes,
nail
I
and the
remember
little
this.
wrinkles, right? But there was a chip in the nail.
Yes.
Yes, I remember
And I'm
that.
like,
Yeah.
oh, that's weird. Why the chip in the nail? I chipped my nail exactly the same place 3 hours later. And like, there's been lots of different examples of that, reading potential outcome.
Mm.
So I know what it can read outcomes.
Mm.
So because there are more states to water than we know,
Mm.
and there is water in the air, of course, and we have light coming out of us, we have electrical charge coming out of us. The moment your thought goes to somebody else and they receive it, because we're receivers and essentially transmitters, it's gone through the what you could see as ether. It's so quick that that person receives it and gives you a call. It's like, oh, let me think about this person. I haven't thought of that in ages, and then they call you. Well, it's the same way with intuition. Essentially, it is like the super highway of possibility, and you send out a shoot if you're a plant, and it just goes, finds where the most likely outcome is, and it brings it back as this intuitive hit.
Mm.
And it's essentially your water system behaving as it should, which is giving off this giant web of information. It's the water web. It's
Mm.
the water wide web. And it
Yeah.
is
Love that.
and it really is bringing you back to yourself. And that intuition is a state, I think, of water,
Yeah.
which is simply the way water works in a very quantum manner in its different stages. So
Wow.
if intuition is a stage of water, then it is in a different state. It is in
Mm.
its more quantum state. And just because we can't see something doesn't mean it's not there. We breathe
Exactly.
Absolutely.
air.
Yeah.
And I think that those stages I hope, are going to become more and more known, like the spirit stage. I think that when anyone that talks about being able to see spirit leave a body, they talk about it like a kind of mist or a cloud or some kind of energy like
Mm.
that. And this is what essentially water is.
Yeah.
And I think water and consciousness, like I said, so intimately intertwined that they move together, that they flow together, that they behave as one. And you can't have the water without the light. Light doesn't get talked about nearly as much as water, and I think it's because of light with water and water absorbing light that actually that's where the magic is in this work.
Mm.
That's how water receives information through your light expression, through the light even that comes off the words you wrote.
Yeah.
It's so, there's so much intention that through creation, there is no possibility it's random.
Wow.
Mm,
Oh my goodness.
beautifully
It
put.
really is beautifully put.
Yeah.
So many lessons for me today. I'm very taking all of
We
these
always
in.
do. We always do with you, don't we, sweetheart? We've got some fancy questions. We've got a quick fire round now. Are you
Can I
ready?
try and answer them so quickly
You go
then?
first,
No,
Claire.
you can take as long as you want within the 10 minutes that you've got.
Yeah.
So it's all based on our happy, healthy, healed theme,
Yeah, have these.
which we thought was very clever.
We hope you do, Veda.
I'm sure I
So
will.
the first question is, what does being truly happy mean to you?
Oh, I think to me it means being content with what you have, being content with what you have, and uh, not always wishing you had more or you didn't have this or you didn't have that, but being grateful for the things you have in your life right now and truly grateful, not just saying the words.
Amen.
Amen. Okay, what does being healthy feel like in your life?
Um, I think a healthy mindset influences the rest of your body in a big way. So being healthy is being transparent like water and not having masks on, um, being kinder to yourself,
Mm,
um, not comparing yourself, not taking not taking the most negative comment that or behavior that somebody projected at you and thinking, oh, they must be right because only someone who really, really is my friend or really loves me is going to tell me that horrible truth and
mm,
believing them
yeah.
and letting that completely change the course of your life because you believed someone who probably needed a lot more healing and love, who told you that you are not skinny enough, not pretty enough, not this enough, not that enough, not whatever enough. I know that people do this, and I know that lots of people change, their life has changed because of one really negative comment. And I think healthy is about recognizing that's not true. That getting older, it's all over by 40. Oh my God, no, it's freaking not.
It can't
It,
be.
No,
it gets, it, I mean, it
it
gets
won't
better.
be.
It gets better. Young
Yeah.
people need to hear that. They get afraid of getting older.
It's just so
You
much
know,
conditioning, so
that
much.
sucks. There
Yeah,
needs to be more people saying it gets better.
yeah,
Yeah. And
That
it's not just
wisdom.
saying it, is it? The people, you've
Yeah.
got to feel it. Like, really, it's
Yeah,
not
you
like,
gotta
oh, you
feel
just
it.
go along with them words. It's you've got to
Yeah.
feel it. It's true.
yeah,
And I think real health is about um, being kind in a cruel world, being light in a dark world, uh, getting up and carrying on when everything seems hopeless, and to find purpose. I actually think over happiness is purpose every time because happiness isn't the goal. We're not designed to be so-called happy
Mm.
all
All
the
the
time.
time.
But
Yeah.
if you have purpose and you find your purpose, whatever that is, big, small, whatever, there's no big or small. Purpose is always big. And if that's being a mum, or that's being a water researcher, or if that's being or whatever your thing is, it doesn't matter. If that's just being kind and that's your purpose, good on you, then we need more people like you. Um, then, uh, then that's what gets you up in the morning when you don't feel like getting up.
yeah.
That's what gets you going when you feel like, oh gosh, here's, my 150th glyph. I have to, you know, take a photo of or whatever the thing is. But it's just like, no, you do it because it's something bigger than you
Yeah,
and bigger than what can drag you down. If you can just pick one person up with a smile, with a compliment, it's far, will go so much further than dragging someone down to your level if you are just
Yeah.
trying to be miserable because misery loves
And as
company.
Walter would say, that ripple effect that you can give one person can just change so many people from just changing that or supporting that one, can't it?
That's why the Eargout Women study I did, I think, really
Yeah.
proves that the most coherent um, is going to positively impact the least coherent in an incredibly powerful way, and it doesn't work the other way around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that that's really helpful. But sometimes, it's just good. You turn off all the social media, go and sit in a hot pool, go and sit in
Yeah.
nature, go and lie in the grass and the dew and like listen to the birds.
Yeah.
Everything's talking. We just don't hear. I
Mm.
think that is healthy, finding balance. What always comes back to balance. It's always transparent and it doesn't judge. I
Yeah.
think that those are all indicators of what healthy really is. And
Yeah.
being not afraid to be who you are and to say, yeah, I'm having a pretty shitty day. I could use a hug.
Mm.
Nothing wrong
Oh
with
my
that.
God, Rada, that really, really spoke to me. A little bit emotional about that. I don't think you realize how much you're saying is almost where I suppose I am right now. It's just
Well,
all
that's
these
yeah,
lessons and all of this work and what we're trying to do and how I'm trying to be with myself and the kids and everything. It's just
being present
pretty
is
much
helpful, isn't it?
everything that you just said. So yeah, thank you for that. It's given me
Yeah,
goosebumps.
you're welcome.
Um,
We've got the healed
we've got the
question.
healed question. Wait a minute. What does healed mean to you personally? It's probably
Um,
very similar.
what does healed mean to me personally? I think for me, it's when I know I've healed when I'm offered the same opportunity to have the same reaction and I don't.
Yes.
Good one. Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Good.
choose not to. Or I'm not triggered by that thing anymore that used to trigger me all the time. And I've found a way to see it differently or love it differently or ignore it, by some people that just ignoring or not ignoring, not allowing negative energy to impact you in the way you used to. Like words, for me, I'm a word person. That's one of my love languages is words, right? So I can be in the past and probably still now, I'm a big softie, right? I'm a really nice, kind person. And sometimes it's really hard to be a really nice, kind person when there are people out there that can be really cruel. And I've unfortunately seen I've seen the spectrum, you do.
Hmm.
And I think you have to find ways to heal from the cutting words that people especially the people you've loved the most, as might have said to you,
Hmm.
because you know it's rough, whether it's a parent or a loved one or a lover, it can cut you.
Mm.
And half our life is spent healing from our childhood wounds. And then it's like, okay, how do I want to live my life? Do I want to live my life in fear of um of what other people are going to think or fear of being hurt again? Am I going to
Yeah,
keep this
fear of being
shield up, this
loved,
wall
so
up to
many
protect
things.
myself?
Yeah.
And I think that if you can soften a little, that's my word. I remember someone, a relative, was going through having a lot of triggers in a new relationship from an old relationship. They had nothing to do with this guy.
Hmm.
And this guy said to her, just soften,
Hmm.
just soften. It's okay. You're
Hmm.
okay. And I think sometimes we just need to be reminded that it's okay to soften and it's just not okay to continue on repeating the same behaviors or accepting the same behavior that keeps making you feel bad. because
Yeah.
the definition of insanity is to do the same thing over and over again, expecting it to be different.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly that. Yeah.
Just live in the program, isn't it? Live in the loop.
I mean, we live in our own program and in our own loop. We have to take
Yeah.
responsibility for that. We can so easily blame everybody else, but everyone else got their own loop and their own
Yeah.
stuff
And
going on
program.
too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like we can only focus on us. And this last year is all I've been able to do is
Yeah.
just sometimes it's just getting up because you feel like you're in a boxing ring, you're constantly getting punched, and your biggest strength is just getting up
Yeah.
every day.
Mm.
And I know how hard life can be for different people. And you see, oh yeah, she's got this perfect life, and like, no, fuck no, I don't. Got
You
shit
don't
going
know
on.
me. Yeah.
And and how you approach that with just honesty, with the most love you can, with the most compassion you can, is important. So healed to me is when I don't react to what I've always reacted to in the same way.
Same way.
Love that.
I love that.
Absolutely love that.
And
Thank
sometimes
you.
we've been talking about that today.
We
Sometimes
did.
it's really easy, and sometimes it's not. And
Mm.
sometimes that pause before the reaction and seeing, observing our own self can be so hard to change the reaction.
Yeah.
So hard.
Especially when it's the lightning bolt emotions,
Yeah.
which is usually anger. Anger
Yeah.
comes on like it's like, oh, how do I control this?
Yeah.
It's
Mm.
like you talk about your blood boiling, and it's just like literally like you're at this boiling state. It takes a while for it to simmer back down again.
Yeah.
And you can't always like logic your way out of anger. Sometimes you got to let it flow through
Yeah.
you. Same
Without
same thing
judgment.
with sadness. It's sometimes hard to like come out of that feeling of sad. And our emotions, they're not wrong. It's not that we shouldn't ever feel angry or ever feel
Yeah.
sad.
No,
It's just we're not
no.
meant to stay in those places
Mm.
It's trying to help.
that
Our body's
bring
just
us
trying to
down.
help us.
Yeah.
Just trying to help us,
We
isn't it?
we want to be right a lot of the time too,
Mm.
and we don't like being challenged.
Mm.
Yeah.
And I see so many people that they're in so much pain. And I think that such a lot of anger comes from fear and pain. And you
Mm.
got to go back to those, where the fear and the pain come from.
Mm.
And it's like, is this sometimes people are quick to anger. That's never been my nature. But I've had a year, and that's why I did a reel recently on anger and what it does to water,
Mm.
because I was in a very difficult year. And I had to navigate through anger, which came from pain.
Mm.
And so from that, I observed water, and within the water, even in the most beautiful, spring water, and my freezing method, you freeze it to a very, very thin, tiny layer for a very short time, like 5 minutes and 30 seconds. So, and you tip the rest of the water away, a very fine, thin layer of very clear crystallography. That's how my technique looks, everything. But the moment you start working with anger, it can have the exact same water that gave you all the beautiful results just prior to the anger. But when the anger comes, and if the anger stays is the problem, but if the anger comes, it does the weirdest thing. Rather than staying fine, thin, and transparent, it thickens, it
Mm.
darkens.
Wow.
And it's as if the ice somehow is all compacted upon itself, and there's no clarity in water that would always be clear.
Mm.
It's actually
Mm.
Muddied.
this thickening.
Wow.
And the only other time I've seen it really do that is with really potent negative EMFs.
Mm.
And so I remind myself that it's okay to feel what I feel, but to
Yeah.
stay there is the problem.
Yeah.
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 And so you need to find forgiveness, which is your real true superpower. Forgiveness for whatever you got angry about, and forgiveness to yourself for staying there, or for feeling that if
Yeah.
you feel bad about whatever you felt or
Yeah.
thought. And thoughts are like clouds, but you're really the sky. They go, 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 but you're really the sky. And to become that observer is such an important thing. I felt all the feelings, the joy, the sad, the angry, the this, the that. I mean, we're all human. We know what feelings are like. But always water wants to come back to balance. And once you come into the balance, you see a clear pool where you can actually see your true reflection inside of it. When you move water, you just see scattered parts of you everywhere. But when you bring yourself into balance, that's where you really can see your true self. And that's where you get to appreciate that it's okay, that you've gone through hard times and that you're not whatever perfect is. We're not here to be perfect. That's not our goal. Our
No.
goal is to go back with the fullest expression of who we are, however messy that might look. People far more appreciate someone who is honest than somebody who is trying so hard not to slip up.
Yeah. Authenticity all the way, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and
It's
present.
like, oh my God, the amount of times I've cried giving talks and like broken down and I like I I think that it doesn't happen all the time, but I think emotions well up out of you
Yeah.
and it's okay if you show, oh, she can do that, then I can do that.
Yeah.
And like it gives permission to like not that we certainly don't need permission to be vulnerable and transparent, but I wish more people would be.
Yeah. 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 Absolutely. Do you want to do the one
Well, we
final,
have got
final?
there is one last question, but I think you've answered it in all of those last three, which would be one thought, practice, piece of wisdom you would like to share with our audience today. But
You've
you've said
given
all of
so
it
much.
in them last three. But is there anything further you would like to share? Because I think you've just put your heart on your sleeve with everything that you've just shared at this final piece. Thank you, Veda.
You're welcome. Um, I think intention is such an important piece. I think if you wake up in the morning, and that's just sort of waking up stage before you look at your phone, before you get on with your day, before you do anything, and you sort of sit with yourself for a minute and you think about what you're actually grateful for first. Like there's always somebody who wishes they had what you have, even if that is having all your limbs, having sight, being able to hear, being able to breathe properly. It's like we forget how fortunate we are all the time, and
Mm,
we take it for granted that we have people that love us, that we're not in war, that we're not scared of our of what's going to happen to our families. And there are people that still find life wonderful, that are actually going through those hardships, that are actually parents that are in the worst of poverty.
Mm.
And I've been to places where I've seen that, and the children are still playing with the mad little rocks, making little rock people. They're still playing with sticks. And our great privilege, what are we going to do with it to make it matter?
Mm.
And our great privilege that we have to be alive. I would suggest that and we set that intention that we at the least, at the bottom line, be so grateful for this privilege to be alive. I would say that would be something great to start life with in the morning when you're lucky enough to wake up.
I know. That was
Can't even see you anymore.
Oh,
Oh,
Veda,
Veda.
that was beautiful. I don't even know what to say.
Nothing to say.
Wonderful. We love you.
Thank you for being so honest and open and
Yeah,
heartfelt with us as our mate, but also to be able to share this with wherever it gets to. And we are just so truly, truly grateful for everything that you are, everything that you're doing, and what you're sharing.
I'm reflecting you guys right back.
Oh, why are you so far away?
I know. I'm coming next year. I'm coming to see you
Oh,
next
yes, you
year.
are, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm excited for
Yeah.
that.
And we are going to see you on the big screen shortly as
Yes.
well with Danielle with the Frequency movie. So excited about that.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
I
We've
haven't
got that
seen
in.
it. I'm hosting
you?
it here in New Zealand as well. I haven't seen it. No, I mean they filmed me for hours actually, but they usually reduce it down to such a little bit. But I know it's won awards and it looks like it's going to be really
It
great.
is so received, isn't it?
Oh, I
I've
can't
got
wait to
my
see it.
yeah, and I've got my webinar all about the hydroglyphs that I was talking about this weekend on Sunday. So
Oh,
I'm
Oh, cool.
excited about that
amazing.
actually. I finally get to like show everybody what I've been
Yeah.
doing.
Oh,
But I
Veda.
have
Oh, I've got so many more questions I want to ask, but
Yeah, let's do.
we've
We'll
got
do
to let
another
you
one.
go.
Let you
We are
go.
going to pin you back down, though. You, okay?
I
That's
could
good
just.
to me.
I've got images of us in the UK now, just seeing Aaron
Running you and jumping you again.
in and
Well,
out.
last time that resulted in some good things. So.
Oh,
Look,
Veda, thank you, thank you,
thank
thank
you.
you.
Go and spend time now with your beautiful husband and enjoy the rest of your break. All right.
I will.
Oh,
Thank you,
Lots of
guys.
love to you,
love you,
darling.
darling. Bye for now,
Love you too.
sweetheart. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank
Thank you.
you.
You're welcome.